Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Northwood University In-Demand Majors webinar. Tonight, we're going to focus on the finance major. My name is Rich Moffitt. I'm a member of the admissions team here at Northwood University. I will also be your moderator tonight. Tonight, we have a great program planned for you. Joining us tonight will be Assistant Professor of Finance, Brian Rang, and also student athlete, Jared LaRue. And so we are going to get a great insight into finance. Before we get started, you'll notice if you ever have any questions, please type in the chat box on YouTube. We will address your question definitely at the end, but even at some point during this series. So before we continue on, I'd like to introduce you to our campus director of admissions, Missy DeBoer. Hi, Missy. How are you?
Good. Hi, Rich. Thanks for having me.
Hey, so a big question that people have, students have, why should they choose Northwood?
I think one of the best things about Northwood are the students that go here. I know you said Jared is an athlete. So, if you put it into an athletic perspective and you were an athlete and let's say you're on the soccer team, and would you ever have players, if they cared about Northwood as much as you cared about Northwood, what is it going to be like, right? So if I'm on the soccer team and I'm the best player, if I surround myself with people that care as much about soccer as I do, am I going to be a better player? Absolutely. Right? Is my team going to be better if everybody cares as much about it as I do? Absolutely. So I'm going to be better. The team's going to be better. That's what it's like at Northwood. I mean, you're just surrounded by a group of people that absolutely want to be here and are super excited to be here and passionate. So you're going to do things you just never even thought possible in a couple of years.
Outstanding.
So, but thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. When we talk about Northwood, I mean, we're very excited that you're taking the time tonight to learn more about why Northwood is such a special place and likely, hopefully, your future home. We'll talk a little bit tonight about your major, and your major is really going to describe your specialty and your expertise. And as a Northwood student, you're going to start experiencing classes in your major in your very first semester at Northwood. So all Northwood majors feature this common business core, and it's this core that really prepares our graduates to be well-rounded leaders in any organization and industry, regardless of the specific major that you choose. Our faculty are industry experts, and they leverage their business and life experiences to mentor and coach our students. Northwood students feel really connected both inside and outside of the classroom. There are all kinds of opportunities to learn and have fun, and you're going to learn about definitely some of those tonight. At Northwood, we embrace a philosophy called the Northwood Idea, and we believe in the power of free markets and entrepreneurial leadership to improve society and quality of life for everyone. Northwood students are determined to go make a difference in the communities they live in and the companies they work for or own. And at Northwood, we really value hands-on experience. Our students compete, they plan signature events, and they pursue internships that really add to their personal and their professional profiles. As we were talking about earlier, you will learn skills you never even thought were possible because you're going to be surrounded by students with a similar mindset, and they will be as passionate and driven about business as you are. Now, Northwood has many majors to choose from, and I'm going to hand it back over to Rich. He's going to talk you through and show you a few of these majors, and then he'll help you through the rest of the evening.
Hey, thank you, Missy. And so as you can see from our screen, we have over 20 business majors at Northwood University. And, our majors are very dynamic. They are in demand and very, very unique. Tonight, we are going to focus on the finance major. And so as we look at the finance major, number one, we're going to learn about the major from Assistant Professor Brian Rang. We are going to bring in Jared LaRue, and we are going to look at his experience as a student. And then at the very end, we will have a question and answer period, and then talk about the next steps for you as you look at Northwood University. So without further ado, it is my honor to introduce Assistant Professor of Finance, Brian Rang. You look at Brian has an incredible background in the finance industry, and he brings that industry to the classroom. So Brian, how are you doing today?
Doing very well, Rich. How are you?
Very good. Well, welcome to our program, and tell us about finance.
Okay, great. Well, one of the things I want to talk a little bit about tonight is some of the outlook that we see right now in finance. Here at Northwood, the areas that we're going to focus on during our curriculum is going to be three primary branches. We look at personal finance, we look at corporate finance, and we look at the banking industry. Our focus here, when you come to study finance at Northwood, is that we are not necessarily here to make the world's best bankers. Well, certainly we're going to make all of our students very good, and we're going to build your skill set. What we want is we want well-rounded students. We want to have students who are able to go out and pursue their passions. Certainly, an undergraduate degree is going to prepare you to go out and be successful and to pursue more education and pursue whatever you have a passion for. But a lot of times it's a launching point. It's where you're going to start. So this is going to be where you're going to find out what you like. A lot of students are curious, or they may not know, is finance right for me? I like numbers, or I like money, but I don't know what that means. I don't know where to go. That's why we give you a nice variety. We're going to talk about personal finance. We're going to talk about what careers are out there. We're going to bring in guest speakers, professionals, and we're going to have you talk to them. We're going to have you understand what their job, what their day-to-day is like, what they love about what their jobs, maybe what they don't love about their jobs. We're going to talk about corporate finance. We're going to have you go through complex models and valuation. And we're also going to go through the banking industry. We have a very interesting class we'll talk about a little bit later. But it's our bank simulation class. And so you get to actually run your own bank through a live simulation, a live economy, and compete with your colleagues while you're here at Northwood. Another thing I want to talk about and I wanted to point out is that we have a significant, especially in the financial services, in the financial industry, there are a lot of baby boomers in our industry. Roughly 25% of the workforce is going to be retiring soon. And there's going to be a lot of opportunity for young professionals. So students who are coming through the workforce. Now, you're not necessarily, students right now going to college aren't going to be replacing baby boomers directly. But what that means is that there is opportunity down the line. We have to replace them somehow, which means we're going to be pulling people up through the ranks. It means that there's going to be more opportunity for young professionals, aggressive, motivated professionals to climb that corporate ladder. So we see a lot of opportunity. We hear about it when we bring our guest speakers into the classroom. There's a lot of opportunities for them, financial advising, in banking, in the corporate ladder and corporate finance, a lot of opportunities for young professionals, motivated individuals who want to make the most of it. And of course, we talk about making the most of it. One of the things everybody wants to talk about is how much can I earn? What is my earning potential? Well, based on some of our recent information that we've actually received surveying our graduates, our alumni, has been that a lot of them who are recent graduates are earning on average $69,000 per year. Now, a lot of that is going to be driven based on what industry, what type of job you're going to pursue. I talk a lot to my students. There's a lot of variable income. There's those who go into careers with strong salaries. So that can really hinge. That can drive that number. But we're going to spend time talking to you and helping you make an informed decision during your time here with us. So one of the things, we touched on it already a little bit, but we're talking about why Northwood, but we're going to talk about why Northwood and why finance at Northwood. So as I mentioned before, we focus on producing well-rounded finance graduates. So we're looking at those that then over that time, as I mentioned before, we get a lot of students in here who say, I like numbers, or I'm good with math, or I like money. Who doesn't? I know I like money. But I want to look at, all right, how can I make the most of it? Or how can I combine that passion? And how can I find a job or a career that's rewarding? And again, that's why we start off with those three main branches of finance, where we look at personal finance, we look at corporate finance, we look at the banking industry. And then we're going to allow you then to use that as that launch point so that you can go in and you can focus, so you can talk to. But you're going to be in a great position. So then that way, if you get into your sophomore year and you get into the bank simulation class and you decide, you know what, I actually could see myself doing this. Be a great opportunity for you to pivot. Students can also have internships, work part-time if they want to while they're here at Northwood, and figure out, all right, I was interested in this. Did it really click? Did it, when I actually got in the field and I actually did it, did I enjoy it? And that's a big part. I always tell my students, I want you to learn not only what you do like, but also what you don't like. And that's part of the process. So you got time while you're here at Northwood, explore those opportunities and figure out what you like. One of the other things we talk about here, blending that practical and that technical. Now, certainly in finance, there's a lot of technicalities to it, right? There's a lot of equations, lots of numbers and formulas, but there's also a very practical aspect to it. A lot of finance professionals are also educators, because depending on your industry, especially in personal finance, you're going to spend a lot of time working with individuals who may not understand finance as well as you will eventually. And so therefore you become an educator. And so you have to be able to take these very technical, complex ideas and bring them into a more easily understandable and palatable form, so that way other people can understand it. And so that's what we actually do here. We want to make sure that, yes, you are technical. You can go through and you can crunch numbers with the best of them. But at the same time, we want to make sure that you are in a position where you can deliver it. Having you be extremely or exceptionally skilled with finance and formulas and ratios is great. But if you can't communicate it effectively, if you can't put that into use, it's not going to do you much good. And so that's why we focus on both the practical and the technical aspects in all of our classes. All of our courses are going to have you apply what you're learning. And then, of course, one of the other reasons why you want to study finance here at Northwood is just there's growing demand and this ability to shape our program. And we're going to talk to one of our students, Jared, here in a little bit. And Jared has been instrumental in actually continuing to shape the program and develop the program. And he's got some very, very exciting things that I'm excited for him to actually share with you. And last topic I really want to talk about here specifically is some of these courses. And I've mentioned them a little bit already. So initially, Missy mentioned, we're going to get you started your very first semester here at Northwood. We're going to get you into Intro to Finance. And in that course, we are familiarizing you with those three branches of finance, and we're going to bring in guest speakers. We're going to look at practical examples. We spend a lot of time in the Wall Street Journal. We don't have a textbook in that class. We so you save a little bit of money, but we're in the Wall Street Journal. We're whether it's before COVID, we were using tangible copies, but we're online. We're looking at Wall Street Journal. We're looking at actual articles. We're talking about those topics, real life examples, what's happening, both the topics that I'm going to talk to you about, and you're going to see it in action. And we're going to use that as a way to talk about those different topics, learn a little bit more. We're going to bring in guest speakers. We're going to bring in financial advisors. We're going to bring in insurance agents. We're going to bring in a director of finance for companies. We're going to bring in bank managers, and we're going to have them share their experience. So then that way you learn more about it, and you can say, you know what? I like numbers, but I like what they do. I like what their day job sounds like. And that's what I want to pursue. And then we're going to connect you with those individuals. We're going to give you those opportunities. All of the individuals that come in and speak in these courses are engaged with Northwood and hire Northwood students for internships, for part-time work, for postgraduate positions, so full-time positions. You're going to be networking with them your first semester as a freshman. Tremendous opportunity. Another one of the things we talk about, bank simulation. Bank simulation, a lot of the cases, it's one of the earlier finance courses, but students love it. It's a tremendous course. It gets you in there. You're looking through all the financials, and albeit you're not going to understand it right away, and that's the point. That's the fun. You get to go in the simulation. You get to experience it, and you're going to run that bank. And by the end of the simulation, you're just going to be humming with it. You're going to know it. It's going to be firsthand. It's going to be second nature to you, going through and managing it, looking at complex reports, and you're going to understand it. So we're going to spend some time with it. And then, of course, last but not least, we have our capstone course. This is where we take everything that you have learned during your time at Northwood, and we're going to pull it all together. And you're going to run through. I basically say that it's more of a long or large project that you're going to work on, but we're going to break it down step by step, and you're going to walk through and value a real live publicly traded company. So whether it's something like Home Depot, an airline company, Apple would be another one. Let's see, my most recent capstone course, they valued Costco. So of course there's a Costco that just opened up here in Midland, and they said, hey, we want to dig into that. They just opened up in our backyard. So we're going to go through that, and you're going to do it. You're going to have those skills and the tools so you can actually do this. Actionable skills.
Well, Professor Rang, thank you so much. Great information. And for those of you watching out there, we will bring the professor back at the very end. So if you have any questions, please go to the chat box and type in those questions, and we'll address those at the very end. Thank you, Professor Rang. So our next speaker is a student, Jared LaRue. A little bit of background on Jared. Jared is a Warren De La Salle graduate. He is a dual major at Northwood, a finance and a management major. He's in our BBA MBA program. He is a hockey player at Northwood, and he is also a skydiver. So Jared, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, Rich, and I'm happy to be here to help answer any of you guys' questions. As Rich was saying, with Northwood, I've been able to do a lot with the BBA MBA, which I'll talk a little bit about, playing for the hockey team, being able to travel around the state with a bunch of guys and be able to play the sport that I love. And then, yes, I was able to actually do a semester in Europe and was able to skydive in Switzerland, which was a great opportunity. But I would actually like to start off with why I initially chose Northwood. And so my brother actually attended Northwood. He's 2 years ahead of me. And so I was able to kind of get familiar with the campus a little bit, coming to visit him. And I just love the small town feeling to it. You know, I'm able to get from one side of the campus to the other in 10 minutes. And it's just so, you feel like a part of a family when you go to Northwood. And so it's a great experience, and you're really able to connect one-on-one with teachers. Sometimes you're not able to feel that with the bigger universities. I have a couple friends who's before COVID was in classes with 100, 200 students, and they just felt like they weren't being paid attention to, or they weren't valued at that university. Well, at Northwood, every single individual is valued. We all are part of the same team. We're all working towards the same goal. And so that's one of the reasons I like to choose Northwood. But then also speaking a little bit on the 4-year BBA MBA program. So this is a great program that is unique to Northwood. And so essentially, I'm going to be receiving my bachelor's degree in 3 years, and then receive my master's degree in the 4th year. And it's only going to be a 1-year master's degree program, which is an exceptionally accelerated program. And while it is accelerated, it might be overwhelming to a few. The teachers provide assistance. We have this. We have a program at the university where students are able to tutor other students. And so you receive the help that you might need, or you're just able to excel on your own. Whatever you might need, Northwood helps make sure that you get the assistance that you are looking for. And then, so moving on, why I chose finance as a major, as well as adding management as a major later on. Starting off with finance, my father has always told me a manager or a marketer can never become a finance manager or an accountant, but a finance manager or an accountant can always become a manager or a marketer. Being able to know the numbers is an exceptionally powerful tool that you can use throughout your career and in your own personal life. By being able to understand how banks work and how you can manage money and how you can make your money work for you by investing it. Those are exceptional tools that will help you greatly benefit in your career and in your own personal life. So that's why I initially chose finance. But as Professor Rang had noted previously in the speech, you also have to be able to communicate what you're seeing in the numbers. You can't really just analyze the numbers. You have to be able to communicate what the numbers are saying. And so I added management on as a major in my 2nd year because it helps me get a little bit more of the communication, a little bit more of the networking and managing people, which I think is a great benefit and skill as well. And so with all those experiences and everything, Northwood was just a great school, and it has some great programs that you can be a part of. And then as Professor Rang was noting earlier, one of the reasons that I really like Northwood is because of the professor's professional experience. In a lot of other universities, you might have professors who are simply just there to teach. They've been teaching their entire lives, and they just are continuing their career, and they don't necessarily have that personal experience. Well, Professor Rang is a banker. A couple of our other professors, they are either retired asset managers or they worked in the real estate industry themselves. So they have that professional experience that really they can bring you insider information that normal professors might not be able to. And so that's a really strong advantage that you're able to have. And again, just being able to use the resources that Northwood's able to provide. The Wall Street Journal, I found, was one that Professor Brang brought up. And that was an exceptionally astonishing tool because you're able to see real world events happening out in front of you. And Northwood provides the Wall Street Journal to every single student. You guys are able to get a free copy every single day, either online or on campus. And so by just having that tool, you're able to analyze and look at real world situations and be able to apply the things that you're learning in the classroom to those real world situations. Now, continuing on, as I was saying earlier, Northwood loves providing students with as many tools as they need to succeed and in order to really excel in what they're doing. And so one of the first events that I was able to attend was the fall career fair that Northwood was able to host on campus. And so being a freshman, I was a little bit nervous. Obviously, I'm not really sure what I'm doing or what job I want to get. But Professor Rang was actually one of the professors who encouraged myself as well as every other student to attend this career fair just to get some exposure to networking. And that's another part of it, is that Northwood helps to teach students how to grow in their career. One of the other first classes that I was able to attend as a freshman was the Northwood Idea class. And so this one teaches you how to network with professionals, how to act professionally, how to dress, how to act in business meetings, how to present. And so with this course, along with Professor Rang's motivation and instantly being a part of entering those finance courses and gaining exposure to the financial world, I was able to attend this career fair well-equipped and well-informed to gain my first internship with Merrill Lynch Wealth Management. For those of you who don't know, that's one of the top investment and financial managing firms in the entire world. And so it was an exceptional opportunity, and I was able to get an internship right after my freshman year, and I've been with Merrill Lynch ever since, and I love what I'm able to do with them. And with Merrill Lynch and Northwood, I feel I'm very equipped in the financial field. And one of the last things I want to talk about, is Project 100. So Project 100 is actually where 100 alumni donate $100 for a grand total of $10,000 that any student on campus can apply for, any organization, any department. And so we can all apply for this Project 100, and it's in order to present an idea that helps make campus a little bit better. Well, actually, this past fall, myself, along with the Finance Association, was able to apply for Project 100, and we pitched a state-of-the-market dinner. Financial advisors use these state-of-the-market dinners a lot in order to help gain clients. Well, we figured, why don't we use it as a way for Northwood students to be able to showcase their knowledge in the financial advising industry, in outlooks, and analyzing the economy. And so what we're going to be able to do is we're going to be able to host this state-of-the-market dinner and host it to alumni, industry leaders, and essentially anybody who's willing to come and gain exposure to what the students perceive is going on in the economy and their analysis and their potential outlook. And so it's going to be a great event that Northwood Finance students are going to be able to host, as well as we're hoping to bring on a couple other majors, such as econ majors and automotive majors, potentially hospitality. And we're all going to be able to unite underneath the Finance Association to really be able to host a great event for everyone who attends. And so Northwood has just been a great experience, and I'm really proud of everything that I've been able to accomplish in my time here.
Hey, Jared, thank you. I mean, that's some very powerful information and great perspective that you shared. You know, we have a few questions, and we're going to bring Professor Rang back with us here. The first question is from Rebecca, and the question is, if accounting is the language of business, what is finance?
Oh, I like that one. That one's a little bit more abstract. One of the things we've talked about before, and actually myself in the accounting chair, we've talked about how accounting is a historical view or vantage of finance, of basically the performance of a business. It's like record keeping in a way, right? That's what accounting is. So you look at an income statement, you look at a balance sheet. All right, that tells you what happened. All right, now finance takes that. It takes almost, again, if you want to use that term, that language, and it's going to turn it into something actionable. We're going to take that and we're going to figure out what to do with it. All right, we see what's going on with a company's balance sheet or an individual's balance sheet. We see what's happening with their income statement, their profit and loss, or we see what's happening with somebody's credit report. How can we take that historical data and make it actionable? And how do we make informed decisions off of it? That's really what we're doing. Now, I would stress that you have to understand language, right? So we have to understand our language in order to communicate effectively. And therefore, in finance, you have to understand accounting because it is the language of business. And if you don't understand accounting, you're not going to understand finance. Now, it may seem a little bit scary. I will poke fun at my accounting colleagues. It may seem a little dull. That's okay. Right. So we're gonna get you a nice foundation. All of our finance majors, they're gonna take some accounting courses as well. They're gonna have that base. So then that way they can take and be more actual. Doesn't mean you're gonna be an accounting pro. Doesn't mean you're gonna, sit there and do taxes and wear a green visor, like they used to do. But you're gonna be in a position where you're gonna be able to take that information. You're gonna be able to understand those financial reports and make good decisions, actionable decisions off of it.
Thank you. Hey, Professor, our next question is from Weston from Chesaning, Michigan. Does the finance program prepare students for the CFP exam?
Good question, Weston. I like that you're aware of the CFP exam already. And yes, it is going to prepare you for that. One of the things I mentioned before about bringing in guest speakers, we bring in guest speakers, and a lot of times we bring in financial advisors. One of the things I like to do is I bring in speakers who have a variety of designations because there's some very, very popular ones. And the CFP is probably the most popular. And so what we want to do is we want to bring in these guest speakers, these professionals, people who have actually done it. People have actually been through the CFP exam and they can talk to you about it. They can help you understand it. So that's your very first semester. That's when you're a freshman. So we're just trying to get you the lay of the land, trying to help you understand it. Then we're going to have courses. We're going to introduce you into capital markets and securities. We're going to introduce you into portfolio management, where you're going to actually live through and manage a portfolio, and you're going to practice your hand at that. And then once you get to your senior level course, you're going to be taking it. You can choose whether you want to take a specific course to the CFP or the CFA, two very, very popular designations. Probably, I would say 2/3 of students lean towards the CFP. Great, that's fine. But what it's going to do is it's going to focus on more current topics. It's going to get you even more prepared. Again, I mentioned the undergraduate program here, the finance program is a launch point. That is going to help you to pursue it. So yes, we're going to get you prepared. We're going to get you some courses. You're going to be teed up to go after that CFP exam.
All right, thank you. So Jared, this question is for you, also from Weston. What is your career plan with a finance degree? And what was your favorite class or class project?
Great question, Weston. And I've actually been contemplating a little bit about what I'm going to be able to do with my degree. Obviously, I have one more year with the master's program, and so we'll see how it all works out. As I stated before, I've been able to internship with Merrill Lynch Wealth Management, and so that's part of the financial planning world. And so I do like that industry and that particular job. I think it's really amazing how we're able to provide people with financial guidance and be able to assist them in order to receive the best out of what they're able to put into it. And then, however, I'm also interested in corporate finance. I haven't had too much experience yet just because I haven't had too much exposure with internships yet. However, I have been applying for the past couple months for some corporate internship positions, and hopefully we'll see where that goes. So those are kind of the two main areas that I'm thinking about going into, is financial planning or corporate management. And so to go on to your next question, which is my favorite class or favorite project, as Professor Rang has said, I love the Certified Financial Planning course, which I actually just took this year. However, I also love the Corporate Investment Decision Making course. And so those are two pretty drastic different courses. However, with the CFP course, the Certified Financial Planning course, we are able to talk about the numerous different things that financial planners can talk about: insurance, taxes, estate planning, investments. You know, it wasn't just focusing on one particular. It wasn't just focusing on the stock market. It was focusing on all of the components of people's personal financial planning that could be affected. And then not only that, but one of my favorite projects in that course was actually being able to analyze a specific case study. And so we were able to receive a family, receive information about all of their assets, all of their goals, all of their debts, everything. And we were able to analyze it and be able to create a financial plan for them. In corporate investment decision-making, I was able to take a look at specific companies and be able to do a case study on how their specific financial. And then as Professor Rang noted, in the capstone course, that's essentially what we're going to do, is look at specific companies and analyze their financial statements, see where they should be valued at on the market. And so honestly, these programs are just exceptional. And they really expose you to what real world industry people work on every day.
All right, thank you. Hey, our next question is from Jordan Purchase. Jordan attends Bay City All Saints High School and probably has one of the best business names ever. Jordan has a question. He's looking at getting a master's in finance. What should he get his bachelor's in? What would be a good bachelor's degree to lead him into his master's in finance?
Well, I mean, the easy answer would be to double down and do finance. It's what I did, my own studies. Now, albeit my own studies, I triple majored. I did business management, finance, and econ. And then I minored in accounting, because again, accounting is a, language of business. And then I did my MBA with a focus in finance. So I did mine that way. Honestly, I guess I'm biased in that I look at, I think all students should take and be a little bit heavy in accounting, finance, and or econ. I think those are, because again, kind of going back a little bit to that idea of the language of business. I think, all of our students, for the most part, a lot of our students coming through Northwood are going to have that a little bit of a kind of entrepreneurial spirit to them, a little bit, the Northwood idea. But you still need to understand the numbers. You need to understand the reports. Not that you need to be an expert at it. Not that you need to look at it and say, oh, I know what the current ratio looks like on this company. But you need to at least have an idea of what these reports are telling you. But I don't think you go wrong with an undergraduate degree in econ and then pursue finance, after that. I don't think you could go wrong with accounting. I think a lot of that goes a little bit back to personality. I think a lot of it goes back to what you want to do career-wise. If you are interested in something, accounting, again, is going to be a little bit more, technical, maybe even a little bit more practical. I kind of look at, accounting, finance, and econ on a sliding scale, where accounting is the most practical, econ can be somewhat the most theoretical, and finance is right there in the middle, which is personally why I like it.
Thank you. Hey, our next question comes from Cole. Is getting an internship competitive among students, or are there opportunities for most or all students to get an internship?
Okay, good question, Cole. I guess I would put it a couple different ways. There certainly are a lot of internships opportunities out there. Certainly there are going to be internships at certain companies that are more coveted, let's say, or maybe students really want it. And then you're going to see students go after it. Now, also keep in mind, there's nothing to say for a lot of companies that they have to hire or bring in an intern from Northwood necessarily. They can look at interns from all different places. In fact, I think, Jared, you probably have had some experience with that with your internship, where you're working shoulder to shoulder with somebody from a different school. Now, one of the things I always love hearing when I hear about students who come back from those internships is when they say, hey, I had an internship and I had, MSU and U of M finance students, and I was better prepared than they were. That's my goal. That's on me, I think. But there's going to be a lot of opportunities. So a lot of companies, depending on the company, a lot of them will actually bring in multiple interns, but it's not necessarily just beholden to Northwood. And again, very much what Northwood believes in the Northwood idea, which is, they're going to take the best students. They're going to take They're going to look at what students and what interns they think are going to make the most sense for them. So it is competitive, and they are going to look for the better performers. That's just kind of how business works too, right? So you get a little bit of taste of that even here with your studies. But to say there's only 10 internship spots available and we have 60 students applying for it, it's not like that. I guess I would be shocked if we have students go through and were to say, I just can't find anywhere to intern. I would be shocked, because I am constantly getting emails from employers. And again, go back to the guest speakers, people we bring in, they're looking for good students. They're looking for driven students. So I think, as long as you're out there and you want it, somebody will give you the opportunity.
And if I could hop in here for a second, with Northwood, there's actually a part of the faculty called the Career Advancement Department, and so these people they've been able to help me perfect my resume, and so they help provide you with tools, and they're even able to. Northwood operates off of a program called Handshake that helps connect you with multiple different companies in different industries. And so honestly, Northwood's able to provide you with all these different opportunities. It's kind of up to the student to be able to pursue these. Because like with the career fair, I was able to get exposure to Merrill Lynch. However, I would personally say that it wasn't the career fair that determined that I was able to get the internship. It's the steps that I took after the internship that Northwood had taught me. Following up with the recruiter, emailing them, even sending them a handwritten letter, which who does that anymore? But sending them a handwritten letter really, I think, made the difference in me sealing that internship and getting that opportunity, because it differentiates yourself from those MSU, U of M students, because it shows that you're actually taking the steps in order to pursue this career. And then not only that, but especially when you're a freshman or a sophomore, go to, I'd say, pretty much any other university. I haven't really heard of another one. And your freshman and sophomore year, you're taking your prereqs. You're taking English courses. You're taking science, even though you're not interested in science. And so you're taking courses that don't really interest you at all and don't really teach you about finance or business. Here at Northwood, you're thrown right into it. So right out of the bat, I had the Intro to Finance course, and I had, I think it was managerial accounting. And so along with other business courses like the Intro to Management, Intro to Marketing. And so they throw you right into it, and you're able to get this exposure. So companies really see that. And so they're more willing to take freshmen and sophomore because you're already getting some of the experience in the industry.
Yeah, our next question comes from Weston. Would you recommend that a financial advisor planner get a master's degree?
Oh, okay. Interesting that one of the things specifically we like to do in that very first course, in our Intro to Finance course, we bring in a guest speaker, and I bring in a guest speaker who has, she is a financial advisor for a local wealth management firm, and she has her MBA from Northwood, and she has her CFP. And I like to kind of put her on the spot and say, all right, pick one. Tell me which one. And she does a good job where, they have their benefits. They both have their benefits, and they bring different strengths. And so a lot of that is I would say it depends on what you want to do with it. It depends on what your career aspirations are. And albeit sometimes it's a little bit tricky because you don't know right away. But you have some time to figure that out while you're at Northwood. And again, that's the whole reason why I like to bring in these guest speakers, and I like to have you talk to them and get the opportunity to get to know them and learn from somebody else's successes and failures, or maybe where they feel that, because again, that guest speaker, she didn't go into financial planning right away. She didn't do it right away. She went back to school to get her MBA, and she went back to get her CFP once she got into this wealth management firm and started to, get some traction there. And then she went and she doubled down on getting the CFP. I would point out, especially if we're talking about a master's degree, and if we're talking about an MBA, master's in business administration, the idea is that that's going to make you and build out your skill sets for actually operating and running a company, to look at it holistically, to be able to do that. So I would say if that's maybe what interests you, not that you necessarily want to run a company, but you want to be more in tune as to how decisions are made, or what decisions are made, or what they have to balance and weigh and manage throughout that process, that's what that's going to help you to do. It's not going to be as technical necessarily. It's going to help you develop a lot of soft skills and some technical skills. But that's what that's going to do. So if you're going to go in and say, you know what, no, I just want to be a really good financial planner, a really good financial advisor, and that's what I want to do, then probably the CFP would suffice. You may not necessarily need a master's degree. But if you're looking at it and saying, you know, I may want to do something a little bit more, or I want to have a little bit more holistic, capacity when I'm working with somebody, then that MBA is certainly going to build out that skill set, make you a little bit more well-rounded, in my opinion.
All right. Well, thank you, Professor Rang and Jared. Appreciate your time tonight. You gave some great information. If I were to ask you this, if a student had a question or had additional information and wanted to ask you about the finance major, what would be the best way that they could contact you?
Best way to contact me is either going to be to email me directly, and you can do that. My email is rangb@northwood.edu. Again, that's rangb@northwood.edu. Or you can find me on LinkedIn. I'm out there. I encourage all of my freshman students when they first get in here, develop your LinkedIn, get your headshot out there, and I encourage you to reach out and by all means, feel free to to connect with me on LinkedIn even now. Even if you don't go to Northwood in the end, still networking is a big part of the game. Is one of my mentors professionally has always said, it's not necessarily about who you know, it's about who knows you. And so they're not going to get to know you if you're not out there. So start getting yourself out there.
And then if you'd like a student's perspective, I'm available at LaRue, that is LARUE, J, and then the number 8 at northwood.edu. And then like Professor Rang, I'm available on LinkedIn if you guys are on it. And like he said, Northwood really does push building out your network, building out your LinkedIn, because that's a way that you can get some great opportunities.
Well, thank you once again, Professor Rang and Jared. We appreciate your time and your expertise in finance. And, students, please take advantage of these opportunities. Now, the next question is, what's our next step? If you would like additional information from Northwood University, go to northwood.edu. You can click on Get Information. You definitely need to schedule a campus visit. Our campus is beautiful. We offer both in-person, also virtual visits. We follow all of the COVID-19 protocols. And so if you'd like to visit our campus, go to this website, schedule a date, schedule a time, and we will have somebody from our staff meet with you, and then we will have a student show you around campus. Next step, beyond that, apply to Northwood. If you go to northwood.edu/apply, this will get the process started. So Missy, this is a great evening. This is probably, without a doubt, the best webinar we've had this year. I appreciate the expertise of Professor Rang, Jared, and guys, thank you so much for spending the evening with us.
Before we end, though, we did get a student that asked one more question. So can we answer one more question, guys, before we leave tonight for this young lady? Mariah asked, is it difficult to get started in the career field with only a bachelor's in finance?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I always, professionally, I would say education is going to help kind of raise a little bit of the ceiling. A lot of that is going to be your drive, your motivation, how well you engage in what you do. Now, everybody has different paths. Not one path is right for all people. Myself, I worked a lot while I was in college. I worked part-time at a financial institution and started climbing the ranks while I was actually in school. So I was doing that technically with no education. And I was able to get into a position that, quite honestly, a lot of students get only after they graduate, while I was actually in college. And again, of course, I was going to Northwood. So I was able to get into a position that a lot of college graduates normally get, but just by getting my foot in the door and doing good hard work, and then having my college education allowed me to climb the ladder and allowed me to climb that ladder a lot faster. There are a lot of different career avenues. And one of the things is really just the perspective. Are you going to go into a finance related role that is maybe more sales oriented or working with clients? And if so, a lot of that is just, it's building and it's networking. And so a lot of that, do you necessarily need to have a developed education necessarily to do that? No, you don't have to have an MBA before you can get into it. There's not a firewall. There's not a gate that all of a sudden opens up. A lot of that is just going to be hard work. It's going to be getting out there. It's going to be networking. It's going to be doing the job and getting some good experience, doing the internships like what Jared is doing. Again, Jared is a perfect example. Going down there and working for Merrill. He has a tremendous opportunity. The individual that basically hired him, his manager, she looked at it and said, I would love to have Jared. I mean, he pretty much, not to put words in anybody's mouth, to say if Jared graduates and he wants to go work for him, he's not going to have any issues going to work for him. So that, and again, that's with an MBA. I think they would gladly take him and not wait the extra year for him to get his MBA. I think they would take him with a bachelor's right out of there. So no, you're not going to have those firewalls with the bachelor's in finance. You're going to be able to go right out. Again, that number I showed, that $69,000 average salary, that is bachelor's. That is bachelor's graduating and going into careers. So no, there is not, I'm not going to say that, just because you come here and you go to Northwood, you're going to automatically get that. Obviously a lot of that goes back to the individual. But to say that it's overtly difficult, absolutely not.
All right. Thank you, Professor Ang. And for those of you out here, if you have any interest in any of our other Northwood majors, go to YouTube, search Northwood University Major Webinar Series, and you will see each of our majors listed there. So once again, thank you. It's been a great evening, and we wish you a good night. Thank you once again.